Welcome to 1000 Splendid Studios. Today I'm going to take you on a tour of my studio space. I don't really know what to call this room. It serves many functions. I edit videos in here, I take photos in here, I film in here, I display a bunch of dolls, I store and organize crafts and art supplies, and I also do different artsy projects in here. I've done a tour of this room twice in the past, once in 2016 and once in 2019, but since my last update, I have some new things in here, and I thought maybe it would be helpful if you are looking to organize a relatively small space or display dolls in an area that serves other functions. I want to preface this by saying that this room did not happen overnight. What you see here is the accumulation of years and years and years worth of accumulating different art supplies. The dolls in here didn't happen overnight, and even the way that this room was organized, the things that I used to organize, it took me a long time to make this room look like what it does now, and I tried to be as thrifty as possible. I tried to make do with what I had or recycle things, etc. A lot of the supplies you see in here were given to me from like family members or friends, family members that passed away, or they're things that I've had since I was in grade school, different scissors and things that I still use. So just keep that in mind, and without further ado, let's get to the tour. So this is an overview of the room when you walk in. And the shades are always closed in here unless I'm taking pictures or filming a video, or if I just crack one when I'm in here editing, but I try to keep the sunlight to a minimum. So this room is really great sized for storing my craft supplies, displaying some dolls, and like having an area to film or photograph things. So one of the things that my dad did was he took the doors off of the closet and the doorway so that the room felt more open. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about my doll displays. If you're interested in seeing these in better detail, or like the other displays around my house in better detail, I have a whole video that I'll put in the iCards and in the description from last year. And I have some little angels on top of my cubes, but other than that, I really like to keep this free because the light switch is there. I got mine for I think $45 a few years ago at Ocean State Job Lot, and it's really heavy duty. And the little bins here are actually all from the dollar store. This is where I keep all of my scrap fabric. So in here is all of my felt. I turned it vertically so you could see what was in here. I have some scraps on the end. My sister uses this a lot for photos. I haven't bought fleece in well over 10 years. This is all left over from school projects. And then in here, this is where I keep all my pre-made potpourri and silica sachets, but all of my containers of dolls, all of my drawers of their clothing, I put potpourri and silica in. This is all of my ribbon and some rolls of tulle. I didn't buy most of this ribbon. When my grandmother passed away, I ended up with a lot of her craft supplies, and I kept the ribbon because I figured I could use that. And then my friend's grandmother passed away in 2016. Her and her mom set aside a bunch of her grandmother's crafting stuff. And this is all of my like scrap ribbon. So I save a ton of like bag handles from gifts, or some of these came from like LOL dolls, and I used to keep it all like in 1 gallon Ziploc, but I have some pieces like that are the same that were matching bag handles, or maybe I've cut them into different sections for projects. So I keep those bagged. Then like these, for instance, are flowers that were from a lei, but most of what you see in here was all just recycled. Where I keep all my little like organizers. So this is all leftover stuff from like high school crafts, like those pom-poms, and like I have some buttons, and then there's some gems that I cut off of hair ties, and then I save all the snap halves from clothes that need mending, say it's missing a snap. And then the rest of these are like fabric flowers. And this is all embroidery floss that was from my friend's grandmother after she passed away. Those bigger flowers here are also from my friend's grandmother. And all of the tackle boxes were either the stuff came in it, or like these ones were from my dad. He had them left over from fishing. And I actually bought some of these totes at thrift stores for a few dollars each because they're kind of expensive. And then these are all little strings of beads. These were all given to me by my friend Lisa when she was cleaning her room. These pom-poms were all left over from school projects. Down below here, this looks kind of weird, but these are all recycled Ziplocs. Over the years, I've bagged my doll clothes, but in the beginning, I would use bags that were way too big. So I cut down the Ziplocs to smaller sizes and like melted the edges. I ended up with like a bunch of leftovers. And if I say buy something and the Ziploc is clean, I will keep it. But if it's a dirty looking or food was in it, I won't save it. I keep them right here so when I have new clothes to bag, I can just slide it out. This is all of my stickers and stencils. This bin in here was my sister's. She used to have it at work, but then she brought it home. A lot of these stickers are super old, or they're from the dollar store. My sister does a lot of like card making for people, and she's also made like scrapbooks for some of her students before they've left. So she'll buy sticker packs from the dollar store. I make a lot of collages and things, so I like stickers too. But like this letter sheet here, I bought this when I was maybe like 14 or 15 for a school project. Same with all of these like bubbly stickers that are out of here. I also have a couple stamps and these stencils that we've had since we were little kids. I kept the ones that were useful, and then I gave my sister the like animal ones to use with the kids she works with. These blue ones used to come with Girl of Today dolls, the American Girls. And then in here, this is kind of like an assortment of things. These are all of my like silicone mats that I used for resin. I also have like a mold back here, really big mold for resin. This is my large box of plain white Sculpey clay that I've had for years. I keep my paint palettes in here, as well as the water cup. And then I also save foil. So when I bake clay in the oven, I'm not using new pieces of foil. I save that. And down here, these two jars are my epoxy sculpt wooden birdhouse that I got with a lot of Barbies last year, and I'm going to paint it and give it to my American Girls. I just haven't done that yet. This is my UV nail lamp that I use for curing UV resin. And then these are popsicle sticks that I found when I was cleaning, reorganizing this room, and I keep them down here because they're useful for like mixing paint, but honestly, I mostly just give these to my chinchillas sometimes. This is a little cube thing from Target's website that I use for my Moxie girls. And then next to that is a dollhouse that my dad got me for my 20th birthday at a flea market. Nothing in those drawers, if you're wondering. They don't really open very well. And then under the window, these are my two OMG and LOL houses. There is a heating vent under this house. That's why the drawer that has the pool and the hot tub is on this house but not here because of the heating vent. I'll show you where I put that drawer. It's in this room. So this is my art desk. My dad got this for me as a Christmas gift when I was a senior in high school. Just have my electric pencil sharpener there. These fabric flowers were from, some of them are from the dollar store, but the yellow and white ones were from a centerpiece at a friend's wedding from many years ago. And underneath here, I have this wheelie cart from Michael's. I got this when I bought a second house for my dolls because before I had drawers that I would store my paint in, but this works so much better. This is actually kind of expensive. I forget how much these carts are. I think they're like close to $50, but I had a gift card that I used to pay for like the majority of this for my birthday a few years ago. And you can see I have all of my acrylic paints. They're supposed to be color coordinated, but my sister uses these all the time for making cards. And I also have like my sealers. And this looks kind of weird, but I keep things that I use regularly for doll maintenance out here so I don't have to dig them out of different drawers. So these makeup brushes are actually just for my dolls. I use them to dust my dolls. I have some box cutters, and then I also have like combs I use regularly. I have a bunch of scissors, shape scissors. These are they're like hemostats. I use them for restringing a doll. My sister's friend had a really old nun doll that she asked me to fix her last year, and I bought these to hold the strings. They're actually really handy, and these are my hair cutting scissors for dolls. Then on this attachment here, I don't use this stuff very much, that's why it's kind of tucked out of the way. It's just like different electrical tape, florist wire. Here, this is where all of my glue sticks are. I have tons of glue sticks because my grandmother had tons of hot glue, so this was all her hot glue. And then 2 of these hot glue sticks were hers. This one was my mom's. This is all extra thread. It's like duplicated thread that doesn't fit in my thread organizer. Again, most of the thread was from my grandmother. These little spools were mine from when I was 12, and I used to hand sew my dolls' dresses. Here, that's just all of my like T-squares, rulers, and then cuts of dowel that I use for making doll stands. Down here is also kind of a random assortment of things. Doll repair. So I have my different types of glue over here. Then I have the little like plastic trays I mix the acrylic powder and liquid in for fixing doll necks. And you can see the acrylic powder and liquid is there. The safety pins are good for reopening the holes in dolls' ears if they kind of close off. Pipette I got from a Project MC Square doll, and I use this to scoop out the acrylic liquid. Clear nail polish, because sometimes you can use these things for doll repair, and toothpicks. Mostly American Girl restringing or like random scraps of wire, so I use thin bungee cords for restringing my American Girls, and then instead of like the brass clamps they use, I have washers that I use. I have armature wire, some other kinds of wire. This is what I use for waist pieces of doll stands, and then I save like old notebook wire. That is fishing line that was my dad's that I use for tightening doll necks. I have a few pointed Q-tips as well for when I do paint their faces, and this is all the sealers that I use for my doll stand making, and there's also more wire back there. Pre-cut stands. And then on this side, this is what faces the outside so I can reach it easily. These are all like my duct tapes, which I found all of these when I was cleaning the basement 10 years ago. My dad just kept buying new rolls. I don't use duct tape too often, but the masking tape and the packing tape I use all the time. I don't actually have anything for these hooks right now, but this is clear contact paper I use for laminating my backdrops. Then this is all of like the scented stuff I use for making doll potpourri. This is my container of Mod Podge, which I just reuse this can, and I put the big tubs of Elmer's school glue in here instead because it's cheaper. And then this bad boy is my diluted gel mixture that has a hair on it from Kanani, I think. What I use when I'm like styling my doll's hair or after a boil wash, it's just some gel and water. Yeah, and you can see it fits all snug under here, and I can slide this out without bumping my dollhouse. Need a comb or the gel or tape or something, I can grab it really easily. I did used to have a really large trash can under here. I still have that, it's just in my laundry room downstairs, but I swapped out the trash can that had been in the laundry room to fit under my desk. These cabinets used to be in the kitchen, and when my dad and I first redid this room, and I came up with the idea to reuse these for my art supplies. There is like a pane that goes over here. I have it. I always mention this when I film this room tour, but I actually like that it's open. When I wash my paintbrushes and I put them back, that way they can air dry. And I also have this coloring book page my sister made for me, and this was some art that one of my viewers made me. This is my box of X-Acto blades and different like knives. This little tub I bought when I was in high school. This is just all my like artist pencils, a compass. I have some like India ink back there, and then some empty jars. My little containers, I think I got these at the dollar store when I was in high school. I have my markers, I have crayons, and I have colored pencils and my current sketchbook that I use for designing like doll stand ideas and things like that. All of the colored pencils and markers are just from my childhood. I haven't bought any of those in years, like since high school. I did buy new crayons at some point, like 6 years ago. These are all of my paintbrushes. These jars are all recycled, like peanut butter jars and jelly jars. So I have all my paintbrushes organized by size. So these are all of my paint markers. This is a candle jar. And in here, some of this is just boring office stuff, just like envelopes. These are some of my printed doll guides. Just envelopes and notebooks that are left over from like high school. These are all just pipe cleaners I have left over again from school projects. It's in the same container that my crayons and stuff are in. I save these because you can actually curl doll hair with them. Over here, this is one of my canvases I haven't used yet. And these two art boxes my dad got me for Christmas when I was 15. And that was my first Christmas I didn't get doll stuff as a kid because I was like kind of too cool for it at the time. One had a bunch of paints in it, but they all dried out. What was left dried out, but there's like watercolored pencils in there. And then in this one, this actually is really nice. But this has like colored pencils and oil pastels, some really crappy paintbrushes, and watercolors. And I did used to use this stuff a lot when my dad was sick and I'd be at home and I'd just sort of draw and paint. But these are my chalk pastels. I had to move them because when Colleen or I go in there to grab like colored pencils or something, this used to sit on top of one of those bins and it kept falling, and a bunch of those pastels are broken. So they're just over here for safety purposes. There's my whiteboard cleaner, some leftover dye from coloring a Superstar Barbie dress years ago. I had this index card thing left over from high school, and there's index cards. And then there's my mom's button jar. I used to love playing with these as a kid, and we used to take buttons and use them as doll food. And I have this other piece of artwork that a viewer drew me that I printed off and framed above my whiteboard. And then over here by my desk, these are just two little whiteboard things. I need a new whiteboard because the like coating is gone on this. This desk I've had forever. This was our family computer desk that my parents put the Windows, was it 95 or 98 on when we were kids. It used to be in the living room. I like that it keeps everything compact and uses vertical space. So I do have my brass key Snow Whites up here on display, and Cara, she's my ballerina Cara. She has a repaired arm and is really delicate, so I just feel more comfortable with her sitting on a doll stand up here. And my candle jars that I use for my whiteboard markers. These are all my felt tip pens. I'm obsessed with felt tip pens. I use them in all my like doll journals and things. These are regular like pens and highlighters. And some of these things, the kids at my sister's work made for her. It's really cute. And then these are my Sharpies, and like some pencil top erasers, paper clips, and tacks. And obviously there's like the modem and my little Pink Panther that my sister bought me at a flea market years ago. And then these are all like just empty CD cases. If I burn things, then I need a CD case. This guy is my pencil pouch that I've had since freshman year of high school. I had some clay tools in it for years, but I recently reorganized. You can see this is Seen Better Days. It's got ink stains on it, but I love this guy, and if I take pencils or pens somewhere, I put them in there. Puss in Boots. My dad bought me him at a flea market when I was probably 19, because the joke was my sister was Donkey, I was Puss, and he was Shrek. And this is a little penguin that my friend Lisa got me for Christmas. I have just like cleaner for the TV, a staple remover. These are all staples or paper clips. And those are big index cards, a calculator, sticky notes, whiteout tape, you know, basic office supplies. They're all our old graphing calculators from high school. These were really expensive. They were like $100, and we had to buy them. Hole punches, that's a sticky putty that Colleen uses for doll photography. It looks disgusting, I know. And then here I keep in this index card holder. I keep all the labels I use for labeling doll clothing bags. It's really handy having them here because I can just like open this and find the size I need instead of digging through those little plastic things they come in. That's the tape dispenser. In here there's just those little divider things, tabs and I use those for my doll journals, so I keep them there. That's the microfiber cloth. That's for cleaning. I always have a piece of paper of some kind stuck under here, and this is just when I'm writing down body info and stuff like that for my Flickr guide. Keep like my stamps, staplers. This is where my love of notebooks is very apparent. This is just a folder of some like loose doll research. And then this one that I decorated, I just pull out the sheets, and that's where like these papers come from. Then this one is one of my doll bullet journals. This is where I keep track of like albums I need to work on, and Flickr, my like monthly goals that I don't really do so much these days, things like that. And then this one, this is my doll ideas book. So there's a ton of like as told by dollies, tutorials, dolly tales. I used to keep them on loose pieces of paper, and I'd put them in this folder, but I ended up finding it was just easier to have a whole notebook dedicated, and I love collaging things and using stickers and stuff. So does one really need all these notebooks? No. This is my sister's notebook. I decorated this for her. I actually bought this for myself, but then I didn't like the way the pages were, so this is all just like the difference between how we like journal and keep track of lists. She just like scribbles and uses every inch of the page, whereas mine have dividers, and you can see I have little check boxes. It's all color coordinated. And then over here, this clipboard I just use when I'm writing on loose pieces of paper. And then this is my Hello Kitty binder that my dad bought me when I was 12. I used to take it to school with me. It's pretty beat up. And I used to keep all of my doll inventories in here, but I don't print them anymore. I have way too many dolls. I think it's like 4,100 now. If you're a nosy Nelly and you want to know what's in here, this is all LOL research. But again, it's color coordinated, and I recopied all of these recently. I have a problem with lists and notebooks. Yeah, I have it on the computer too with pictures, but because of how complicated their like waves are with many different tots, I like to have it written out. So I keep those all on loose pieces of paper, and pieces of paper are far too large to be in this folder. They get all crinkled at the top, so that's why they fit perfectly in the Hello Kitty binder. And then down here, it's just what you would expect, a printer. These are all scrap pieces of paper, LEDs that we use for burning things. That book, that's the book that went to my graphing calculator. There's my camera box where my camera always lives. It's always in there. And the microphone I have for doing voiceovers. This is my sister's book that she's working on. And then we have this doll shelf. I got this at Walmart for $25 many years ago. It was originally black. I painted it white, and I decorated it with contact paper and cutouts from boxes and old calendar pictures. And then last but not least, we have this closet. Like I said, the door is gone. So this penguin, he's my buddy. I love penguins. My dad's friend Steve gave me this penguin after we set up at a yard sale with him, and I'd been looking at the penguin all day, and he said I could have it. And then this is a stool that my dad bought. It's like a step ladder thing that he never put together. I found it when I was cleaning, and I thought, oh, it would be a great place to keep my tools. So I have more tools elsewhere in the house, but these are like things I used for making doll stands or quick doll repair. Up top, these are some of my doll backgrounds. These are not all of them. These are the ones I use for my Flickr guide. So if you ever looked on my Flickr, you'll know all the dolls are photographed on this cactus background. And then these two that don't match, it's actually the other side that I keep them up here for. That's for my playset backgrounds. That is the drawer that goes to the LOL house. These are some old like sketch pads that I found when cleaning the house. My dad's old laptop case. There is no laptop. This is stuffing that was going to get thrown out on my sister's work that she brought home for me, because I use it sometimes for making like my guinea pigs' beds. This Bratz case I got on Craigslist with a bunch of Bratz dolls back in 2012, and I just keep, like, if I have dolls for up here for baths or I need to take photos of something, I keep all the little fixins in here. if something needs to be repaired. That way it's safe. And likewise in this basket, this just has a broken body in it. This is where I keep dolls if have like a big project going on, and these are just paperwork file folders. This is my sewing kit. This was actually my mom's and the hinges are broken, but this is full of like pretty much all stuff that was my grandmother's. I got this little stand for thread at Walmart. This is a new addition to the room, but I've had this organizer forever. I'll pull it out. I got this at the Salvation Army years ago. It's in one of my old episodes of Dolly Diaries. I bought it for American Girl jewelry and hair stuff, but we changed how we organize that. Now that I've got so many outfits and I've made so many earrings and necklaces and things, we bag all of that together. So this was empty and it wasn't being used, and in recent years I've gotten super into like making things with resin and polymer clay. So this is where I keep all of my resin and polymer clay stuff. So I have like some of my little silicone tools and these larger tools for clay related things. This is my cutter. These little tiny molds all came from a kids art set that was on clearance for like $2 2 years ago almost at Walmart. These are the perfect size for doll stuff. And likewise, I have some other molds that I bought for making earrings. This is from an MC Squared doll. It's for like soap, I think, but I saved it for mixing resin if I need to mix it with stuff. Then I have like confetti glitter. This was sand art that my sister made. I used that in my resin. This is regular, like 2-part resin. This is my UV resin. And then these are like my Bacon Bond and Liquid Sculpey for making polymer clay stuff. And then these are the glazes for Sculpey clay. Drawers, this is my favorite part. This has all like glitter that I bought for school projects and for doll projects over the years. I have them in these little bags. And I also save like hole punch outs for confetti because I can mix this with resin. I also have some that I made. I made this for a pair of Julie's earrings. I made a bunch of like large chunks of confetti, and then some of this actual confetti I bought in a huge organizer thing at a local thrift store for a few dollars, and I knew it would be great for resin, so I have all different kinds of colors. And then down here, this is tubed glitter for resin, and then all of these are little clay pieces. I found this set at Michael's on clearance for half off for $5, and it has like little fruits and smiley faces, perfect for mixing in with resin. And then on the sides here, if you're wondering, I just have some wrapping paper and leftover contact paper from doing my shelves. And I also have my paper guillotine hidden by the sewing machine. My jewelry supplies, I have tons. That's my favorite thing to do. It's taken me like 10 years to collect this much. It definitely did like not happen overnight. And this is all of my polymer clay from like the colored variety pack. This is my like cutting mat, and then I have another like plastic thing that I make clay on. In this top one, this is more earring and jewelry making supplies. It's where I keep my tools, the like little lids that I put my beads on. I have the cord I use for making bracelets. I have some smaller bead boxes, my pom-poms. If I have like a ton of one type of bead, like these letter beads I bought at the dollar store for making bracelets, I keep those in here. I have a really old video from 2016 where I show my jewelry supplies in more detail, but it's very out of date, but you can check it out if you want. This is all of my loose scrapbook paper and like calendar pictures that I have yet to use for backgrounds. Sometimes I use it as flooring in photos. My rerouting tools. And this is just a peek inside my rerouting box. This case it's in was actually a kid's bead kit. That's why it has all of these details on the top. I got it on clearance, and the case itself was also useful. I have hair. This is all like hair I salvaged off of dolls that had face paint that couldn't be saved, but good hair. And then this is all leftover hair from various projects I've done over the years. In my Hello Kitty pencil case that I had as a kid, I have my different like needles and tweezers. These are more crochet hooks. These are cut pieces of straw that I use as rollers, and I just keep reusing them. Why I keep cutting apart straws. I don't even buy plastic straws. This is the salt shaker I use for flocking, and I have my different types of flocking. We have my tripod case, and I have some gift bags to reuse, and that big black thing in the back is my high school art portfolio. These are bins. So this one I got at Walmart, and I didn't want it to have a lid because, as you see, I save box art from dolls and calendars and things to reuse for other projects, and they can get kind of bulky. Like you can see, I have Mary Kate and Ashley and Bratz, etc. And then for the smaller pieces, I have these old plastic dividers that I used for many years in high school, and I have it separated into categories. So this is like smaller recycled Barbie stuff, Disney, American Girl. I have a couple bags of like magazine cutouts. So these are like flowers and like pastries, and then I save a tissue paper that comes with the LOL surprise dolls because you can use that for making backdrops, or I use it as like faux gift wrap and stuff in photos. This guy and his twin were both from Ocean State Job Lot, and these were actually really nice quality. They have lids. So in here, this is where I keep my old American Girl catalogs that I have multiple copies of. I use those for crafting. I have like this old animal book, different things like that. A bunch of construction paper left over from school, old stationery, little swatches of wrapping paper I had left over, and then I have a bunch of sheet protectors, old folders, these plastic folders from high school, because that's what I started doing in school. I used like plastic dividers and plastic folders so that I could keep reusing them as the years went on rather than having to buy new ones. I have some smaller cuts of contact paper. This is lamination paper. It's organized, it's just all randomly sized bits. And then this last one, I'm not going to open because it's kind of hard to get out, but it's just larger cuts of fabric. I hope you enjoyed seeing this room and everything in it. And if you're interested in seeing the doll displays in more detail, I'll link that video below, and also the previous tours of this room. And until next time, love your dolls, love yourself, and love your life.